In this video we'll be going over the continuation of the C# video tutorials. So we'll be continuing with classes and objects in C#. So in the last video we started to make a class here called a coin and created some fields and instance data to use in the class. So we made it as an inner class. I'm not sure if private works, but public did. So we actually put it, so in the last video I might have mistaken one thing. I said that the class should be within the namespace. I believe it also can be outside, like a struct in an enum. So if you're just wondering about the specifics about that. So where to write class declarations in C#, you have some flexibility in choosing where to write them. So I think we already went over a little bit of this stuff. But when you start writing your own classes in a project, it's possible to write them in the same file. Okay, so yeah, so basically I just said you can write it within the namespace or outside the namespace. So the Microsoft Docs recommend that you write each class in its own separate file. So doing that makes your code better to read and helps your source code be more manageable, or like manageable, helps you manage them better. So we'll be continuing to create classes in their own files for the most part. So we did an example of how to add a class here in the last video. If you're interested in that, it's in the C# playlist on my channel. It should be csharp.net or something like that. Okay, so we'll talk about how to add a new class file to a project just in your IDE using Visual Studio. I believe I'm using Rider, so it should be about the same thing. So when you're ready to write a new class, so just follow these steps. With the project open in Visual Studio, or in my case Rider, click Project on the menu bar, which I do not see. Okay. Add class. Okay, so project, add class. Hopefully I don't have to ask ChatGPT how to add where the project button is in Rider. So it should be just hidden somewhere in one of these tabs, I mean. Okay, so I'm just gonna look. I don't think you can see the extra window. I'm just gonna try to navigate here somewhere. Run. I actually might have to ask ChatGPT how to do this. XML actions. Okay. No. Okay. Open. Where's new? Is there no new button? New solution. I'm just gonna go with new solution. Class library. No. Alright, I have ChatGPT open, so let me just ask ChatGPT how to do this. Okay, so let me click on my C# tab. Hopefully it doesn't ask me to log in again. Okay, so how can what are these steps exactly doing? Okay, so how can we add a class? How can I add a class to my project in Rider C#.net? Windows Forms, like Visual Studio. It's thinking. Okay, so in Rider you add a class to your project by the following steps. Open your project in Rider. In the Solutions Explorer or Project Views, locate the folder where you want to add the class. Right click. Okay, I should have thought of this. This was especially smart, because ChatGPT is obviously pretty smart. Okay, so we'll go to the view, the folders. So whatever folder we're in, WindowsFormsApp22, we'll right click that, add, Where's a class? Here we go, class interface. Okay, so it says right click on your folder and select new from the context menu. Okay, so that isn't exactly 100% correct. It's add. So when I right click my Windows Forms App22 folder, went add, then it says choose file or class depending on your preference. In the new file dialog, specify the name of the class. Okay, and click OK. So I'm going to do that. You can't see this probably, so I'm just going to go with class. And I'm going to name it. What are we going to call this? Okay, so let's add class, add new item window shown. Okay, so that should appear. Make sure class is selected as a type of item. Notice in the figure. Okay, so we change the name to match. Okay, so we're going to go with coin then, in this case coin, so C-O-I-N. I'm going to hit enter. And there we got another file there. Namespace Windows Forms App22 opens a block. Then it says public class coin. Okay, there's an error here. Duplicate definition. Okay, that makes sense. So just to tell you guys what else Writer says, it says that Writer will create a new class file with a specified name and add it to your project. You can then open the class file and start coding your class. Okay, so there's an alternative way, and that's it. There's a keyboard shortcut, Control plus Alt plus Insert to bring up the generated generate pop-up and select class. Okay, you can do it that way too. That should work for Visual Studio because I'm set to Visual Studio key maps unless it's showing me the Writer key map. So you can just ask ChatGPT for any more questions if you're looking for shortcuts or how to create classes in your application, in your IDE. If you're using like Atom 1 or something, I wouldn't be sure. I heard it's pretty good, but I just haven't used it before. I'll probably use it at some point. We're supposed to add it to .cs. Is this still .cs? Okay, it went automatically as .cs. Okay, so after performing these steps, the specified source code will be created in the project and will be displayed in the code editor. The source code file already containing several using directives. Yeah, I don't see those. Okay, so those using directives were not shown here. Maybe I should have went .cs. Anyways, let's just take, I'm going to copy this here. Control X. Then I'm going to move that here. Now there's something wrong with that too. Okay, it says cannot resolve random. Okay. Right, because the using directives aren't here. Okay, so I'm going to go to their using directives and copy all those. Above the namespace, I'm going to make some space. I'm going to add those in. There we go. So now it works. Go back to this file. Seems to be working now. I'll just run it to make sure that it worked. Or you should have Control S and then run it. But look how see how we're accessing the coin class from another file. So you can do that. That's pretty much how you create objects for the most part. You're accessing something in another file. You didn't have to put a using directive using whatever your file, so it still works that way. You can always do that if you need to. Okay, so we have a new source code file in our directory or Solutions Explorer. So we can close that, and then I'll close the Run tab. Okay, so now we just have namespace, what does it say? namespace WindowsFormsApp22, whatever, public class, and then has a class name. Okay, so now here we'll actually do we can do a, we can get into the, I guess we can get into the lab here. So creating and using the coin class. So we'll create another coin class, we'll add the GUI elements to it. So we'll simulate a coin being tossed like a game. Okay, so it looks like we need a list box, a toss button, and an exit button. We don't really need the exit button that much. We can pretend that we have it. Okay, so let's just see what we have here. I'm just going to see what the code is here. Okay, so we just have, this is pretty much this what we already did. Yeah, so this is the exact same code from the last tutorial. We can just add a few things here, so let's add a list box and a button. Actually, we'll add 2 buttons here. So let's instantiate some objects here. So let's have, so in our class data area, so we'll just have, what do we need, a list box here, so we'll go private list box, we'll call it list box, let's just go with list box. Now let's just create an object reference variable. Under that we'll go with 2 buttons, so we'll go private button, go with like toss button. Why is it spacing everything out like that? And underneath that we'll go with a private button, we'll go with a exit button. Writer seems to be auto formatting everything. It formats the code with a double space, I'm not sure why. That's fine, I guess. Okay, so then we'll actually instantiate those objects in the constructor, so we'll go here to the constructor. We'll say list box points to new list box. And we'll say toss button, whoops, points to new button. And then exit button points to new button as well. Okay, what else we need? We're gonna have to probably do a bunch of stuff. We're gonna have to put these controls on the form, change the sizes, add a location, change the text to the buttons. Okay, so first let's what are we gonna do? Let's maybe create a location. So let's go with the list box dot location points to new point, and we'll just put it somewhere, I don't know, we'll just pick something like 50 by 50, height and width, X and Y, and then here we'll go with list box dot size. The size is usually pretty small for the list boxes, so I'll just go with a new size, and we'll go with, I don't know, let's just go with 200 by 200. Okay, what else do we need? Listbox dot font. I forget how to do that. Okay, listbox dot font points to new font. Let me go listbox, I think, in the parameters, listbox dot font dot font family, and I think we just pass in the size here. 20. Let's just go with no. Okay, let's go with 20 and see if that works. I don't actually think there's something wrong with that. Let me just check my notes here. I forgot. One sec. I have it here somewhere. Okay, so whoops. So it's new font. So listbox dot font points a new font, and as a parameter or as an argument we go listbox dot font family, Okay, and then you just do it in the same parameter with a comma instead of another parentheses. You go comma here and then like that. So it was close, but it's that's the correct way to do it. That's pretty much all we really need to do for the list box. So here at the end we could just go controls.add. No, sorry, control.add. Oh, can I not do that here? Nope. I'm doing this in the wrong place. Okay. Let's take this code here, copy it, all of that code. Because we want this to be put on the form, not on the... Because this class doesn't have the actual... it doesn't have the method to actually add that to the form. The initialize component method. So we'll just move that back here to the constructor. We'll do that under here. Okay, actually, is that not gonna... Yeah, so we're gonna have to move those object references as well. So move those objects reference variables to the other class here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have that. So we'll go with controls or control dot add. Is it controls dot add? I think it's controls with plural, not I think it's plural, I can't remember, so we'll just go with that. We'll go with add list box. And then let me just run that just to see if it's popping up on the screen properly. One sec here, so let's just see how that looks on the form. Okay, so that didn't pop up yet. Okay, so we got a list box on the form. It's just kind of like on the left side. There seems to be something in it, but I can't really see properly. Like a faded line. That's okay, so we'll just go with that. So now let's do the same thing for the button. So go with, well, for the buttons, I guess, yeah, so we'll go with, let's try to get the first button on there, so we'll just go with toss button. I know this is going to kind of look ghetto, but that's okay. So we'll just have toss button points to, no, sorry, we'll go with toss button dot location. Points to new point. Passing in, where do we want it? We want it below the list box. So let me just, okay, yeah, so let's just, okay, actually let's try to go with y is 100 here. And then let's change this point to, for the toss button, we'll go with 50 by 50. Just try that. Okay, so under that we'll just change the button size, so we'll go with toss button dot size. Once the new size, we'll go with maybe, I don't know, 25 by 50. Actually no, maybe 50 by 25. We'll go with the font, let's just add a font to the button, so we'll go with toss button dot font. Points to new font. We'll go with button, actually sorry, toss button dot font family. Can't see with all these IntelliSense windows popping up. So font family. Whoops, capital F on that. And then comma, and then we'll add, I don't know, we'll just go with like 14 or something, 15, whatever. That might be too small. Maybe we'll try like 18. Try that. We'll just have a semicolon here. Okay, so then after that, we'll change the text property of the button as well. So go with toss button dot text points to the string. Let's just say flip coin, or just go with flip. Okay, so for that, then we can just add it. So we'll just go controls dot add, then we'll pass in the toss button. Save that. I'm just going to run it and just see how if the controls are kind of popping up in the right place. Probably not the first time, but that's okay. That's why it's better in XML, because you can see it real time when you code it. Okay, it's not that bad. The button's on top, but that's fine. Let's go with auto size set to true. So let's go with toss button dot auto size. Set to true, like that. Let me run that again, just see how it works. How it looks, sorry. If it works, and see how it looks. So it's flipping the coin on every run as well. Okay, so it works. It's kind of like the list box and then the buttons on the top left. So it works fine. You can't see it because it's like popping up in an extra window, like a command window. Okay, so we have, what else do we need? That's pretty much it. Don't think we need really too much more. We're just gonna have to add the toss. Toss is on the button click, so we'll have to go with we're gonna instantiate an event handler here now with the button. So underneath everything here, we'll go with toss button dot click plus equals new event handler. We'll pass in what are we passing in? Toss button underscore click. Okay, so toss button underscore click, then underneath the constructor we'll go with private void toss button underscore click, passing in as parameter object sender, comma, event argz. Okay, so after that, we'll just move that up. So we could do the exit button, we'll just maybe do that after. So let's go to the event code, so what happens when the button gets clicked. So let's just see what happens here. So we have our class. Where's the button click? Here we go, okay. Toss button. So looks like we have a few things happening here, so let's just talk about what's happening here. So in the last video we talked about instantiating this coin class that we already did. So let's go back to that class here. So we have public class coin, a local string, and a local random object. Okay, so this random object, I'm going to move this to a field above, a global field here. I'm just going to copy that and then paste it here. Okay, so that should work. Private string. Let's go with a private here instead of a public string. Then I go with a private. We'll just go with a public. Oh, I guess it is private by default. That's okay. So here we have our constructor. Side up points to heads. So initially on the coin, before the coin gets flipped, it's just set to heads. So then we have our flip or our toss method. We have if. So actually, so notice how the random object was moved. So we're trying to get that for probably to be accessed by the other class as well. So we'll just see what happens here. So if ran.next, passing in 2 as a parameter in this toss method, points to 0, side up points to the string heads, otherwise side up points to the string head tails if it's 1. Then we have their method get side up, which returns side up. So that's pretty much everything here. So it's the exact same code. So we are instantiating an object, but now we were instantiating an object. So let's comment that out. Comment the toss button and the message box and the, okay, so that's just about that. Okay, so now in our toss button underscore click, we'll go with coin points to new coin. So we'll instantiate a coin object of type of the, or basically of type coin, which is a class. Okay, so now we'll call our list box dot items dot clear. So we're going to clear, every time you flip the coin, it clears a list box. We could comment that one out because maybe you want to see what happens each time. So now we'll toss the coin 5 times. So we'll go for int I points to 0, I is less than 5, I guess. Or we could have went is less than or equal to 4. Then, because that's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 5 times. And we'll go I is, no, here we'll go I plus plus. And here we'll say coin dot toss. So we're going to call the toss method in the loop, which is going to call it 5 times. Then we'll go with listbox dot items dot add. We'll go with coin dot get side up. So now it's going to return the string. Something's wrong with that. Listbox.items.add get side up. What's wrong with that? Needs a method parameter, my bad. Okay, so just because remember we need the need method parentheses empty in this case because no parameters or arguments, whatever. Basically there's no parameters in that method, so we just had an empty set of parentheses for that method call. So you need method parentheses for method call. So we could cast that to a toString if we need to, but if we go back, if you can remember, get side up actually returns a string. You could cast it, but it'll tell you that that's redundant. Probably give you a warning and just be like, that's redundant, why are you doing this twice? So let's just see what happens. I'm just going to run it and just see if it works. Remember we commented out that the clear statement, so I'm guessing it's going to just show you what each toss is every time and just kind of go down the column of tosses. Okay, so it flips it 5 times at once and then just has everything just going down the list box. So it works. But I would assume that they would have just flipped it once. Unless I did something wrong. For I points to 0. I guess it would, because on each button click it's going to loop through 1 time. We could go here, I points to, we could comment the loop out. Let's just go 1 here, I plus plus. Run it. Each time you click it, it should just say it once. So a pop-up window popped up with a flip button and a list box. I'm going to click it each time it tells me what it is. There we go. So you could also add a coin picture here and add a picture box. You can, every time it flips, you could show the other side. that would work too, but that's pretty much the end of the tutorial. We could go for that exit button. We could just pretend that we have it. So let's just instantiate one here. So let's go with private button, because we want to access the button class, and we want an object reference variable of type button. Actually, we already have one. So we've already instantiated it here. So this was our object reference variable. This was our fully instantiated object, which was an exit button of type button class. So we could have went here. So we could have added maybe some size and stuff. Let's just try to do that. Toss button. Okay, so let's just go with exit button dot location. And we'll go with points to new point. We'll pass in. They're in the same place. That's I did that by actually. No, they're not. So I think it actually, as it went down, it actually kind of got bigger. I'm not sure if that's correct though. As see this Y point here, as the numbers got bigger, I believe that that it actually moved, because the button's on top. So I believe as it went down, the numbers got larger. That could be correct. I'm not 100% sure. I think I kind of remember the graph being a little bit different, but I can't recall it 100%. So I think as you move from the top left corner, it gets bigger, but it's a little bit different than a normal graph, but I can't remember 100%. Okay, so let's just go with this point here. So we'll go in that, so just keeping that in mind, then we'll just go with, we want this to be in line with the toss button. Actually, no. Is that? That's a little. Okay, yeah. So let's just go with 50 here. Then we'll go with comma. We want it to be the same, pretty much away. So we'll just go with 50. Not sure if that actually. No, that won't work. That was wrong, wasn't it? Okay, so let's go with 100 here by 50. Let's just try that. Then we'll go with the size, so we'll go with exit button dot size, points to new size. Then we'll go with 50 by 25. We'll go with the font, so we'll go with toss button dot font. Actually, sorry, exit button dot font. So exit button dot font, and then we'll go with points to new font. We'll pass in exit button dot font family, comma. We'll pass in 18, semicolon, and we'll go with exit button dot text points to exit or close app, whatever. Okay, so let me just, oh, we didn't add that to the controls. So you have to go here, controls.add. So go with exit button. Okay, so we have it added. Then we'll just go with the exit button event handler here. So exit button.click plus equals new event handler. Passing in exit button underscore click. And underneath all those things here, we'll just go with the event handler itself. So go with private void exit button underscore click, passing in object sender as a parameter, and then the other parameter will be event args. We'll open a block, and then here we'll just call this dot. This dot. What do we do before? we went this dot side up. Okay, we accessed our fields. So we just want, instead of accessing our fields, we just want this dot to close the form. Just like that. So let's just save that. Run it and let's just see, hopefully that the button popped up. We can see it. Probably not. We'll just try it and see if it works. Okay, so the buttons are a little bit overlapped. We'll go with, let's just try something here. We'll go with, I forgot auto size. Go with exit button dot auto size points to true. Try that. There we go. Pretty good. It's a little overlapped, like very slightly. Not that much, but you can see it. So you click the flip button, it works. And you can click the close app and then it works as well. So thanks for watching, guys. That's the end of the tutorial. So thanks for stopping by. So if you guys like the tutorial, you can like and subscribe to support the channel for more programming and investing tutorials. In the next video, we'll be going over what we're going to do. We're going to be doing passing an object to a method. So for parameters, passing object parameters. So that'll be an important one. So check it out in the playlist C# on my channel, and I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. Take care.